Welcome back to Big Country Politics on KTAB.
Well, hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Conversation here on Big Country Politics. I'm Manny Diaz. This week our special guest is Jodey Arrington. He is the incumbent candidate for U.S. Congress District 19, representing Abilene to Big Country, the South Plains, Lubbock.
God's country.
Recum Tech.
God's country, Raider land, Wildcat Nation. It's an honor to be with you, Manny, and it's an honor and privilege to represent the freedom-loving people of West Texas.
Yes, sir. Well, you have served 4 terms and now are looking for a 5th. Why continue to serve?
Well, I don't want to serve forever. I believe in term limits. In fact, I authored the only bipartisan term limit legislation that was endorsed by President Trump. And I'm the co-chair of the term limit caucus. So I think there should be a finite period of time that one serves, and then they should do what George Washington did and go back to Mount Vernon and live under the laws you pass. But we're fighting the fight. Our country's on the brink. We're at an historic inflection point. And I think this next election, and I think the next 4 years of hopefully a Republican president and a Republican House and Senate will be the opportunity for us to get this country back on track, provide the security we're so desperate for, provide the safe neighborhoods our families are so desperate for, to bring the cost of living down because we have to stop the spending, to be a strong voice for ag and energy in rural America. We've been able to deliver conservative results year in and year out that have made a difference for the future prosperity of the next generation of West Texans.
Yes, sir. Well, there are 3 other candidates in this Republican primary with you, but in interviews with them, they've said many people in the district don't see a whole lot of you, and you don't live in the district. These are words that they have shared with me. Yeah. Can you shed some light on this? Do you or do you not live in the district?
Yeah, we live in the district. My kids are in school in the district. My wife's involved in the community in the district. People say funny things during election seasons. And maybe to put it more directly, some people will say things that aren't true so that they can get elected. Mm-hmm. And that's just the politics, sadly, in our country sometimes. But I will say this, when my children were 3, 5, and 7, and I was recently elected to represent West Texas, I thought it was important to put my family first and to make accommodations for my 3 children to be with me and my wife so that she would have a husband and they would have a dad. And that's my first leadership responsibility. And the people of West Texas have rallied for me, prayed for me, and supported me in that endeavor. And I've been able to deliver for West Texas and also be there for my children and raise up the kind of kids that would make good citizens and future leaders of our country. Now, if somebody wants to criticize me for that, then bring it on. If they're spending time on that and they're not spending time telling you what they're going to do about the border, what they're going to do about the economy, what they're going to do to provide the opportunities for future West Texans and folks in rural America, I don't think I have much more time to address that.
Well, as mentioned, 3 other candidates battling with you for the District 19 congressional seat. What are your thoughts on having so many others wanting your job and perhaps with the mindset that they can do it better?
I say come one, come all. And I say good for people who care enough about their country and are concerned about it that they are willing to run for office. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. I actually commend anyone at any level, whether they're running for Congress or they're running for a statewide or a state or local elected office. We need people in the fight. We need people who have the right values, who have the right vision for our community and for our country to serve in elected office. And it's a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice on their families. It's a sacrifice because it's a very vulnerable position to be. And so I commend people for that. I welcome competition.
Ryan Zink, a candidate in this race, recently shared with me that his inspiration for running for Congress stemmed from his arrest following the January 6th Capitol attack. Zink would be found guilty of a felony and misdemeanor charges following that breach. He said he met with you and your staff. What context can you give to those conversations with Ryan and the happenings surrounding January 6th?
Well, let me start by saying much of what I talk to my constituents about is confidential, and I don't want to air it here or anywhere because I don't think it's appropriate. What I'll tell you is Ryan was in a criminal proceeding, and we gave him access to all the information he needed to defend himself. He was convicted of a felony. But I'm suspect of not just Ryan's conviction, but the due process and the fairness of a trial in the District of Columbia on the issue of January 6th. I think that everybody should have gotten a different venue. Andy Biggs knows about this, Jim Jordan knows about it, and those are the folks responsible for looking at it and conducting the oversight and hindsight. But Congress can't intervene in a criminal proceeding. And if I spent all my time intervening in criminal proceedings because somebody felt that they were railroaded, I don't know when I'd have time to advance the tax cuts or to make sure that the B-1 bomber was, or the B-21 was secured for the future of Dias. But I'm sympathetic to his claims, and I think the appellate court is the right place, and I think we, along with the Republican president, ought to look back at all that and determine where there was injustice and hold people accountable for that and reconcile those things.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more with Congressman Jodey Arrington in an issue that's greater than the population of 36 states in America. That and more right here in Big Country Politics.
Welcome back to Big Country Politics on KTAB.
Well, welcome back to our Sunday conversation here on Big Country Politics. This week, our special guest is Congressman Jodey Arrington, representing District 19. Congressman, it's been determined that 7.3 million migrants have crossed illegally under the Biden administration's watch. It's greater than the population of 36 states. If reelected, how can you and your fellow members of Congress curb illegal immigration? And what can Texas do without the Biden administration being as proactive as many would like them to be?
Well, let's be honest. The Biden administration hasn't just been not proactive. They have been derelict in enforcing the laws. They have completely, willfully, continuously disregarded the laws of the land. Mm-hmm. The reason I voted to impeach Secretary Mayorkas is because he willfully disregarded the laws. He did not faithfully execute on his important security mission for the United States. As a result of their dereliction, we have terrorist drug cartels in control of our southern border, and tens of thousands of people die every year. We have a flood of crimes and criminals in our communities because we don't have any will or desire on behalf of this administration to actually do their job to provide for a common defense, which is the first and most important job of the federal government. Texas needs to be able to defend itself, and in fact has the expressed right in the Constitution that when there's an actual invasion or imminent danger, they have the sovereign constitutional right to defend themselves. This administration is trying to obstruct Texas doing the job that this administration is failing to do. So I have filed a resolution that I have more than half of the states in the country, members of Congress, represented on that resolution, standing with Texas. I filed an amicus brief in support of the legal arguments that Governor Abbott and our state leaders are making, and I got every Texan to sign it. We're doing that because we believe this will go to the Supreme Court. This material will support Texas in the final decision, and I think that decision will be that when you have a disastrous situation that that creates a security breach and infringes on the safety of the American people or the citizens of Texas, the leaders of Texas have not only the right but an obligation to protect them.
Let's bring it a little bit closer to home. You were instrumental in bringing the B-21 Raider to Dias Air Force Base. How much of a win was this for Abilene, and how will this impact the future of the key city?
The B-21, it's hard to overstate the impact to this community. Dias is $1 million a day just to the local economy here in Abilene and the broader Abilene area. But more than that, it's part of our identity in the big country. Now that we have the next generation, the most capable war machine that will give us the competitive advantage in our air arsenal, this is going to give that certainty for this base and this community for the remainder of the 21st century, for decades.
You have received an endorsement from President Donald Trump, Mr. 45 himself. In the 2022 midterms, his success rate when it came to endorse candidates notched 219 wins to 16 losses. On the other side of that coin, only roughly a dozen of those races were competitive. What has the Trump endorsement meant for your campaign?
I'm honored to have his endorsement. I thought President Trump did a great job as a non-politician leader who fulfilled his promises to cut taxes and grow the economy, to strengthen our military. We were much safer when President Trump was at the helm and our commander-in-chief, because our enemies feared us and our allies knew they could count on us. Today, the world has been destabilized because we're projecting weakness. And by the way, you asked me a question about Mr. Zink and January 6th. If President Trump, who's also been indicted for activities around January 6th, if he didn't feel like I was going to fight against a woke and weaponized justice system, and if he didn't think I was going to fight to root out corruption and injustice where it is, he would never have endorsed me.
Mm-hmm. Last question. As you look to secure a fifth term in office in about 30 seconds or so, what's your message to District 19 to keep Jodey Arrington representing them in Washington, D.C.?
I love West Texas. I love West Texas to my core. And that love translates into fighting for them every day. And you can say you're fighting for something, you can say you believe in something, but the proof's in the pudding. You know, as the Bible says, faith without works is dead. I've delivered results to make rural hospitals more sustainable, passing landmark legislation to do that, winning the Rural Healthcare Champion Award as a result. Agriculture, we put cotton back in the Farm Bill. That's billions of dollars to the largest cotton patch in the world, right here in West Texas, billions of dollars. We also not only got authorized, but we got it funded, the second only north-south federal highway from the largest inland port, Laredo, up through the heart of God's country, the food, fuel, and fiber capital of the world, that's going to have $50 billion in economic impact in 20 years. That's just a few things we've done for West Texas. And the last thing, there was a little baby girl named Reese, and she swallowed a button battery, and it burned a hole in her esophagus, and she died. And we found out that kids swallowing these button batteries had grown exponentially, like 100% over just the last few years. We put safeguards in place, passed this bill. It's the law of the land. And now you'll have, we named it after this little girl. It's Reese's Law, in hopes that for reasonable precautions now put in place, there won't be more tragedies like this little baby girl. Mm-hmm. I'd leave tomorrow feeling I did everything I could for my great and beloved country and for my people in West Texas. But I think the best is yet to come. And I think if we get Republicans in the House and Senate and President Trump at the helm, I think we can truly make America great again. And I think the plans are there, and we just need the political will.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Arrington, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Manny.
Always a pleasure. Alrighty, for our District 19 Congressman, the incumbent candidate for U.S. Congress, I am Manny Diaz. This has been another Sunday Conversation right here on Big Country Politics. We'll see you next time. God bless.